Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I am FPL Dean and today you are here for Game Week 23 Preview and Early Doors. And look, I am up and about. Yes, Manchester United had a shocking result and being a fan, not so good, but I had Bruno Fernandes in my team. But the one person I want to talk about, I am inside the top 10,000 teams worldwide. In fact, 7,159 I think it is as currently speaking. Based off the back of one man, and look, this man got me out of my misery very quickly after Man United's result last night. One Mr. Phil Foden delivered with 2 goals, an assist, 3 bonus points, 19 points, taking me hugely up the rankings. And I tell you what, it's going to get better tonight because I have Cole Palmer captain to come. And even if he doesn't play, guess who's on the vice captain? Phil Foden. Cole Palmer, if you're hearing this, please pick up the phone. Have a night off, say your ankle's no good. I'm more than happy to take the 19 points plus the 2 from our man on the bench. An extra 21 points, I would definitely take that. Look, I'm expecting Cole Palmer to play, and obviously Chelsea haven't. And obviously Nicholas Jackson's still to play as well. So my rank's going to continue to go up. I could be inside the top 5,000 teams after this game week. So if you want someone and you want to be hearing about where I'm going and hopefully continuing to soar up the charts, you need to join me for early doors. Game week 23. Let's get into it right now. Make sure while we're doing this, you drop a like, drop a subscribe as well if you haven't already, because you know you want to, and you want to help me grow this channel a little bit more. So early doors of game week 23, going against Salah and Isak, based on my understanding that I talked about in the deadline stream and the fixtures, made perfect sense. I said Bournemouth were a good team. Didn't expect them to win 4-1. I still expected Newcastle to beat Bournemouth at home, but Bournemouth showed up and they banked Newcastle. And Isak, I don't recall actually seeing him really have a chance in the game. I'll have a look at his XG in a little bit. Moh Salah, again, was disappointing in this Brentford game. Like, didn't really even look like he got... This was actually second lowest expected goal, like, threat per 90 for the season. Like, behind that Nottingham Forest blank in game week 4. He should have got an assist. Unfortunately, he didn't. But like, it was just one of them weird weeks for Moh Salah. But I'm not concerned about him moving forward. There's lots to get excited about. And he probably is the most logical captaincy choice after we saw Man City absolutely flog the crap out of Ipswich last night on Sunday night. So look, I'm very happy. I've obviously got the Foden vice captain there if Cole Palmer doesn't play. So I'm sitting very pretty. And Cole Palmer, like, honestly, you've got to match 19 points. So I want one of them 25 pointers. That'd be really nice tonight against Wolves. Look, it's quite possible. It's legitimately quite possible. Benching headaches continue again to haunt me. And my transfer, ironically, was probably the one thing that hasn't worked out. Originally, I was going to play Colwill in the defence, but then I changed in the deadline stream and I bought in Milenkovic. And if it wasn't Chris the Woody Woodpecker, love him, 12 points, goal and assist, fantastic stuff, Woody. But how the hell is it that hard to stay that little bit more onside? And I would have had a goal from Milenkovic and 7 points from him, and I'd be even higher up the rankings. Look, it's a lot to ask for, but look, I was kind of a little bit disappointed by that. But look, it's still going to be a green arrow required regardless. Kirk has obviously 7 points on the bench. He was the last person on my bench. I did not expect any returns from Kirkes against Newcastle. I expected him to probably get 1 point, and he got 7. So there you go. And that was even with him getting a yellow card too. So yeah, as I said, Jackson Palm still to come. Top 7K at the moment. We'll have a look at my rank and how it looks in a second, but like, it's looking good. Man United and Spurs again looked awful. I mean, Ange Ball might be getting sacked pretty soon. If you're a Tottenham fan, let me know in the comments whether you think he's going to be sacked, because I just feel like at this point, it's not looking good for Tottenham. Like, Man United, oh mate. The thing is that as fans, we get excited that Man United are actually going to be good, but they're not. They're a horrible team. And look, realistically, the only players you should own from them are Ahmad and Bruno Fernandes. The rest look absolutely bang average. They need some help in the January window. Whether they get it or not, Jim Ratcliffe, maybe this is his plan. Try and make the team as bad as possible and then try and acquire the club for a cheaper price. I'm not sure, but it just doesn't make much sense at the moment. They're not going anywhere anytime fast. New manager bounces. We saw it with Everton. They did beat Tottenham. They almost gave up 3 goals in the second half. It was a weird game of football, that. Everton dominated the first half. Spurs dominated the second. It really probably should have finished a draw, but it didn't. Everton finally get a win. Unexpected win, to be fair, against Tottenham. Maybe there's a new manager bounce here. I still wouldn't be playing the assistant manager chip in 24. It's too early to figure out whether Everton are in form. And ditto West Ham. West Ham obviously disappointing at home to Crystal Palace. Went down to 10 men, and that probably killed their chances of getting anything out of this game. They didn't have one shot on target, West Ham, so Graham Potter's going to have to get out his magic wand and pretend he's Harry Potter, I think, there, because there's still a little bit more work that needs to be done before we see a new manager bounce. In terms of Bournemouth and Brighton, they're just good football teams. Like, legit. These guys, everyone's been talking about Forest this season, but Bournemouth and Brighton are definitely in the shout for European places. I mean, Brighton are unlucky. They've only lost twice this season. They just continue to continuously draw against teams, but they won here, and they actually looked super good. Like, they played Man United off the park in points in that game, especially in the second half. We just looked bang average. But that's not to take anything away. Bournemouth and Brighton are having great seasons, along with Forest. Forest defence, obviously, don't know what happened there in the second half. They kind of lost the plot against Southampton, almost conceded a third as well. And as I said, that was just unfortunate. Chris Wood getting Milenkovic's goal, or whatever it was, own goal, however you want to say it. It definitely spared Aaron Ramsdale, because he was bang average in goal for Southampton last night, I thought. Again, don't be making transfers this week until after the European games, particularly if you're buying anyone that's involved in Europe, like Man United assets, Tottenham assets, Chelsea assets, Liverpool, Man City, Aston Villa. Who else is in there in the Champions League? I'm missing someone. And Arsenal. Like, there's games in Europe, so just got to keep in mind that there's potentially injuries that could be had there, restings, benchings, the whole lot of. And the one thing that did surprise me here was that Palace actually kept a second clean sheet in a row. I don't know if they keep one against Brentford. Brentford are a very attacking team. And then obviously they've got Man United after, so I wouldn't be counting on them getting 4 in a row, but they've actually surprised me. I thought they'd be a lot worse off without Chalobah, but it turns out that they're doing all right. So I'm not sure if that's just down to the people that they've been playing, but yeah, it is what it is. In terms of Newcastle, Liverpool, Palace, they all look really good for the next few fixtures, so I wouldn't be too concerned about any of them. I'd lock them in. Newcastle, they've got Southampton up next. Like, they're going to bounce back with form. They're probably going to smack 4 past them. Like, Southampton just look bang average. And then we're going to have a look at my transfer plans now. I've got 2 free transfers still in the bank. The defence potentially may get a transfer this week, because I am looking at the third Liverpool player. And realistically, if you're bringing in your third Liverpool player, you want to do it this week. They've got Ipswich at home, then they've got the double, and then they've got Wolves at home. Like, this is the time to do it. I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do. At the moment, it's Robinson's in the firing line, not Jurrien Timber. I think Arsenal's run of fixtures actually looks pretty good from here, particularly from the defensive standpoint. Even with Salah out for a muscle injury, I still think they've got more than enough about him to defend well. I mean, for most of that game, I actually thought, like in the first half, I thought that Arsenal were going to keep a clean sheet quite comfortably, and then Villa just turned it around. Foden is also potentially in the firing line, along with potentially Wood and Jackson. So we'll get into that and why I think that. But without further ado, let's jump into how the team's looking. So this is my current FPL rank, 7,159. I absolutely nailed it. I'm on 66 points for the game week so far. Yeah, I've gone up 10,000 spots. It's been a massively good week for me. The Phil Foden punt, I just have to say it. I said 5 weeks ago, if anyone watched my differential video and I made the sucker replacements and I said Phil Foden was the best pick. Look, for the first couple of weeks, he wasn't. Anthony Gordon was the best pick. But I tell you what, over the last 5 weeks, Phil Foden's absolutely smashed him now. Absolutely smashed him. He's been well worth the investment. And look, my defence has still been racking up the points. Like this week, Alisson Becker finally returned for me. I actually had a goalkeeper do something for me, which is amazing. Obviously, the Moh Salah and Isak, no vice-captaincy or captaincy there. Like the reasoning I gave for not putting it anywhere near them made perfect sense. And it worked out that was exactly the way it looked. So look, I've been hitting them out of the ballpark the last couple of weeks, and hopefully I can keep it going. But this is one of them ones where like Phil Foden's baited me in. I'm like going, do I keep him? It's Chelsea at home. Like Chelsea always concede goals. Like this season, they have been conceding goals all season long. I wouldn't even be surprised if Wolves scored against them tonight. But it's just a matter of like how many goals will Man City get against Chelsea. Well, it's not going to be a high scoring game, I wouldn't have thought. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So let's have a look. Go over to the app here. As you can see, 69. It's probably going to be higher than that. As I said, Cole Palmer captain to come. Nicholas Jackson still to come as well. It's just a really good week. Now, if we have a look at Moh Salah here, like some people will sit there and go, 0.61 expected goal involvement, still pretty decent. To blank 2 games in a row, 0.81, 0.61. That's disappointing for owners that captained him. Like, honestly, a lot of people did. I feel sympathy for them. No, I don't, because I didn't captain him. I thought it made perfect sense. If we have a look at Isak, Isak barely was involved in this game. 0.06, 0.07, 0.13 combined. It was his first real off game since the draw where he only played 21 minutes against Crystal Palace back in game week 11. Like, you can't pick these things sometimes. Whereas Phil Foden, in coincidence, got 2 goals from 0.78 XG and an assist from 0.05. Like, he pretty much had just a bit over what Salah did, but he returned massively. It's insane. So the 5 weeks I had him, so obviously Saka went down with the injury in game week 17, and I just looked at it and I thought, 0.44, 0.48, actually pretty decent numbers. Like, ignoring the fact that, he'd actually put up really good numbers here against Tottenham, Brighton, and Bournemouth, and didn't get any returns. And then obviously Southampton, 0.9. Like, across the season, he'd actually been putting up pretty good numbers per 90. And I just thought, I keep the money in there in case Saka came back. I actually thought Saka was going to be like a 4-week out. And I was like, well, I want to keep most of my money there so that way I can easily get back to him. Now it's a question of, do I get rid of Phil Foden? Like, the fixtures coming up are difficult. Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home. If I can get through the next 4 and Phil Foden gets me like maybe 2 returns over the next 4, it's worth holding him. Like, legit, it's worth holding him. The fact that 3 of these difficult fixtures are at home makes me think it is a play that potentially I could keep. And maybe it's one of them ones where I just play it week by week. If he has a crap week, I get rid of him. If he continues to perform, I keep hold of him. Because if I can get through to game week 28, Man City obviously aren't blanking in game week 29. They've got Brighton at home. Then they've got a really nice run. They've got Leicester in 30, Man United, Palace, Everton, Villa, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham. They finish the season so well, Man City. They've got such a nice run of fixtures that if I can hold him the next 4, I'm keeping him for the season. It's one less transfer I have to worry about. So, like, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now, Milenkovic, that was very disappointing. 0.88 expected goals conceded against Southampton. They've been conceding that pretty much all season in terms of expected numbers, but they conceded twice. Like, what the hell? It was very disappointing. I am concerned because obviously the next 4 weeks, next 6 weeks, realistically, how many goals are they going to concede? I would say the next 3 potentially are the most likelihood of keeping clean sheets. But again, 2 of those games are away. Like, Bournemouth have been super good. I can't see Forest keeping a clean sheet there. Brighton at home, potentially I could see that. And Fulham away, I could definitely see a clean sheet there. But then Newcastle, Arsenal, and Man City. But then the rest of the season looks pretty good. Like Ipswich away in 29, which is a really key fixture. That's the blank game week. Man United home. They'll probably keep a clean sheet against Man United. Man United don't score many goals. Aston Villa away. But then it's a really nice sort of run to finish the season. So I think potentially that's just someone I keep. And like, I do have 5 playing defenders. I can play them all. Like, obviously this week, Timber and Kirkes were on the bench. So I'm not too concerned about that. And Jurrien Timber, look, Arsenal's defence, 1.04 against Aston Villa, wasn't fabulous. But like, the run coming up, 3 of the next 4, I expect Arsenal to keep clean sheets, even with Saliba out injured. Like, they're playing Wolves away, Man City at home. That's probably where they're going to concede the Man City at home game. Leicester away, West Ham at home. They're not the worst fixtures in the world for Arsenal assets. So I wouldn't be ditching him. And for me, he's not someone that I'm actively looking to transfer. I'm probably just going to hold him and keep him. Ahmad is another one potentially could move. But yeah, on the whole, I've been pretty happy with the way it's looked so far. I mean, Nicholas Jackson, depending on how he goes, and this is the weird one. Like, so if Chris Wood just continues to perform right, 0.66 expected goals last night, and he scored from that. I mean, I don't know how many shots he actually had. Does it say how many shots he actually had? I don't know. I'd have to go into it and have a look. But yeah, like, he's just such good. He converts so well. Like, he's insane. He got another assist of 0.02. Are you kidding me? Like, he just sort of won the ball and it just sort of tapped. It's up to 7.1 million now. I mean, ideally he gets a 7.2 when I sell him for 7. I think that's my selling price. Either that or I've already reached the selling price that I need to for now. Like, here's the run of fixtures. I expect Chris Wood's returns to dry up. Let's be honest. Realistically, I could play him the next 3 weeks and I'd be quite happy with that. I'd expect him to get like 1 or maybe 2 goals over the next 3 weeks. I don't expect him to blank in all them. But then Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, Man City at home. Is he really going to score goals against them? I'm not sure. I mean, again, he does have a nice finish to the end of the season. So, like, maybe he is someone you can just keep all the way through. 41% ownership now, though. It's something I'm definitely keen to take on. Ahmad obviously blanked after his 20 points. That was always going to happen. Like, if you have a look at and we'll have a look at the midfielders in a second, there's no point changing him. Like, Man United, the Crystal Palace game at home, I'm very excited to play him in there. He probably may end up on the bench against Fulham away. Spurs away is not a bad fixture. Everton away is not a bad fixture. Ipswich at home's a good fixture. Arsenal at home's not fabulous. And then Leicester away in 29. Like, it's a really nice run up until game week 30. In game week 30, he probably goes. I'm not going to lie, but I can't see me holding him post game week 30. But game week 30 is when I'm going to wildcard. And again, it's going to come down to who potentially might be blanking in game week 34. So he potentially might even stay as well. But if we go to the transfers and just have a look at players I am interested in. So Trent obviously is a player that I took on again. Like, he continues to put up good numbers. Like, if we have a look since he came back from injury, which is the Man City game here, 0.15, 0.36, 0.08, 0.58, 0.56, 0.13, 0.16, 0.35, and 0.81. He's far above any other defender in the game. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad pick, but for 7.2 million, are you really getting bang for buck? So everyone always sits out and, like, he's not really someone I'm actively looking at bringing in, because it means I'd have to make more than one transfer to bring him in, and I can't justify that. Whereas I've got Alisson Becker. Like, so if Liverpool are going to keep the clean sheets, as we saw here, he made 7 saves. Got the 1 bonus point, got me 9 points. He cost 5.5. That's 1.7 mil less than what Trent is costing me. And that means I can have a Phil Foden in my team. If I want a Trent, I'm not having Phil Foden. That's essentially what it comes down to at the end of the day. So to put it in comparison, I'm just going to pull up the numbers here. So Anthony Gordon, since that week, so the last 5 weeks, he's got 16, 23, 32, 34 points. Phil Foden's made 34 points in his last 2 weeks. That's how good he's been. So he's made 42, 48, 50. He's made 50 points in the last 5 weeks. Comfortably been the best midfielder in the game the last 5 weeks. Even Kluivert here is 30, 33, 35, comfortably beats him. And Mbuemo, last 5 weeks, 10, 29, 31, 33. He's smashed them all. He's absolutely smashed them all. He was the pick for Saka, and I called it, and I nailed it, and I brought him in. That's it. I just want to say how good that call was. But yeah, it's like one of them ones. So I am actively looking at Mbuemo. I think that Mbuemo here looks pretty good from a fixture point. Like, potentially I keep Phil Foden for the next 2, see how he goes, and then bring in Brian and Mbuemo for West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Villa, Bournemouth. Like, that looks like a pretty good play. I don't mind that. I don't mind giving myself a couple more weeks. I mean, Crystal Palace away, I don't know how many goals Brentford are going to really score there. Kluivert's one of them ones where I could potentially bring him in for Ahmad if I don't want the Man United double up. Like, they do have a really good fixture run. Like, look at that. Like, it's the next 2 are not good. Like, that's why I don't want to make the move this week or even next week. Like, Nottingham Forest at home, Liverpool at home. I can't see him getting many returns there. But then Southampton away in 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. It's such a good run up until really game week 35 for Bournemouth assets. So look, he might be the one that it could be just a matter of Ahmad out and Kluivert in. Like, I can afford that. 0.1 left still in the bank. It's definitely a move I could make. The other move, obviously, I want to make is because of the fact that Liverpool do have that, what do you call it, the double in game week 24. Like, realistically, as I said here, you want the Liverpool players for this week. You've got the Ipswich at home fixture, high potential of a clean sheet there, potentially attacking returns, depending on which way you want to go. Bournemouth away, Everton away, obviously in that double, and then Wolves at home. Like, it looks really good. The next 2 after that don't look so good from a defensive standpoint, but then they've got Southampton in 28, Aston Villa in 29. Potentially that will be a blank if Liverpool can turn around the Carabao Cup result. Then after that, 30, 31, 32, 33. Again, really good numbers from a defensive standpoint. Liverpool's finish to the season's bloody hard, by the way, FYI. If they're going to have a wobble, they've got a really tough finish to the season. If someone can get close enough to try and put a little bit of pressure on them, they could collapse. So look, the other alternatives, obviously Robinson. Robinson obviously has been really good the last 2 weeks, 7 of an 8. Obviously got the 4. Since I brought him back in, he's actually been super good in the team. Like, I can't really complain about what I've seen there. I obviously bought him for the Southampton game. He got the 6. I think I benched him against Chelsea. Got a return against Bournemouth, which I wasn't expecting. Ipswich obviously was the one disappointing one. And then obviously he's got 7 and 8 the last 2 weeks. So, yeah. But I don't like the run of fixtures. The next run of like 3 or 4 games doesn't look overly fabulous from a defensive standpoint. Like, can Fulham keep Man United out for 90 minutes? Probably. Realistically, is it going to happen? I mean, he could easily get assists in these games here. Like the Man United at home game, Forest at home, Palace at home. He could easily get assists. But like there's no really good fixture in there until really game week 27. And it's away from home. Like it's not a good run for Fulham for the rest of the season, really, if I'm being brutally honest. They've had their really good run. So this one is the one that probably makes the most sense. So I bought him at 4.7. And he's now up to 5.1. So he's made me 0.2. Realistically, this is the move I think I'm most likely to do at this point in time. And that's bringing Konate. Now, Konate obviously played 90 minutes, 65-90. Looks like he's nailed, back in the team. He probably should have got an assist or a goal in this Brentford game. And I don't mind that he's got a little bit of attacking threat. Now, so I'm just going to add him. Realistically, though, the other option is like Virgil. But that, again, he costs too much money. Again, he had 0.3 XG in this game as well, expected goal involvement. Like some people say he's the best pick, maybe you should get Trent. But in reality, I don't want to break my team structure. Like I can just literally make one transfer this week, bring in Konate. All of a sudden, I've got Hall away at Southampton, Konate at home to Ipswich, and then Timber away at Wolves. Kirkes and Milenkovic start on the bench. Superly strong bench, by the way. But I expect Bournemouth and Forest both to score in that game. So, like, for me, it's like, that's 3. Obviously got Becker at home as well against Ipswich. It is a double up on the Liverpool defence. I'm not a big fan of doubling up on the defence, but it definitely makes a lot of sense moving forward. In terms of the midfield then, and the forward positions, it's like, who gets benched? It's either Ahmad against Fulham away, or it's Jackson against Man City away. Now, depending on how Jackson and Palmer go tonight, it could be that I get rid of Jackson and bring in someone else. Realistically, though, the options I really like Wissa is a really good option, but I still think it's 2 weeks too early. I mean, they've actually, in fairness, it might actually be a good week to bring him in because Brentford are a really good attacking team. If we have a look at even on the weekend against Liverpool, 0.47 expected goal involvement against Liverpool, 1.63 against City, 1.38 against Southampton. This man just gets involved in the attack. Like he's super good. His numbers are through the roof. Saves me a bit of money then as well. But like maybe this is the Chris Wood to Wissa, not the Jackson to Wissa. Like if you look at the fixtures, realistically, is Chris Wood going to keep this up? There's nothing to say he won't. He's got 14 goals and 2 assists for the season. He's been phenomenal, and I've owned him for like just so many of these. He's a great man. He's a great man, but the Woody Woodpecker is eventually going to run out of wood. And potentially he might be the one that goes. Because realistically, it's like either Chris Wood or Phil Foden. You've got to move quick in FPL. You've got to read the trends and where it's going to go next. So for me, that's where I'm at. Potentially Wood could go. Wissa is one of them options that I'm thinking about. Yes, what do you call it? So Wissa's there. The only other player that's even interesting in the forward line is Mateta. 7.3 million. He's obviously gone ham the last 3 weeks. Like 16, 29 points in the last 3 weeks is really good. Almost averaging 10 points a week. I just don't know if that is somewhere I want to go. But I don't think his run of returns is going to continue. Yes, it's a really good fixture run. Not lying. Everton at home, Brentford at home, Villa at home, Ipswich at home. The away games aren't too bad. Like there's potential there. Don't get me wrong. And the XG numbers have definitely gone up over the last 4 weeks. 0.31, 0.44, 1.1, 0.93. I don't know if this is because Crystal Palace are hitting form or they've just had an easier run of fixtures. I mean, look at them. They've had Southampton, Leicester and West Ham, 3 of the last 4. Like the teams coming up are not as good as that. They're not as good as that. So I'm not sure. For me, it's probably more likely to be Wissa, and then it gives me 0.7 to play around with in other positions. I'm not sure, but I think that's where I'm leaning towards at the moment. And then obviously the Phil Foden, like this week, everyone's going to have, like this is the other move that I could make this week. Newcastle obviously have the Southampton fixture. Now let's just restore Chris Wood there because I'm not going to take a -4. The other move I could do this week, and it would pain me to do it, would be to get rid of Phil Foden and play the fixtures and bring in Anthony Gordon. Now, Anthony Gordon for the next 4 has Southampton away, Fulham at home, Man City away, Forest at home, Liverpool away. It's not really a good next 5 weeks. Other than the Southampton fixture, I'm literally bringing him in for the Southampton fixture. I could just play it and play him this week and then trade him to Brian Mbuemo and then just roll for a little bit longer and take on Phil Foden. I'm just not sure I want to do that. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm starting to ramble now, so I'm going to hold it right there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully it's made a bit of sense. Please make sure you drop us a like, and the subscribe button should be one of these 2 sides. So please think about pressing that at the end of this video. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully I do go inside that top 5,000 teams after tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Join me tomorrow for the differentials video, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. That's been the D Unit.